Run. Take it. Take it. Okay. Do not run. Do you understand me?
By the time the trial entered its fifth week, the pressure surrounding the case had intensified even further. The media circus outside the courthouse had become even more chaotic. Journalists from top news outlets in the U.S. and abroad staked out, spots on the courthouse steps exchanging information, speculating about upcoming witnesses, and thrusting microphones toward anyone walking in or out. Fans gathered too, some holding signs backing LeBron James, while others wore shirts demanding justice. For the alleged victims, the atmosphere was charged and polarizing. Mirroring the public's deep divide over the case, inside the courtroom things had shifted as well. The initial shock and blanket denials had given way to a more sobering tone. This had gone far beyond rumor or conjecture. The number of witnesses kept growing and the names being mentioned carried real weight. One of the pivotal testimonies came from Daniel Kershaw, a former NBA executive who had worked with various teams and interacted with LeBron during his stints in Miami, Cleveland, though clearly reluctant. Daniel offered testimony that added serious depth to the prosecution's case. He spoke of LeBron's calculated efforts to control his public image and inner circle. It was all about protection. Daniel said, gripping the stand tightly. There were layers to get through before you could even speak to him, and some of those layers were not clean. There were people around him doing things to make problems disappear. Although Daniel stopped, short of accusing LeBron of directly committing any wrongdoing, his testimony painted a picture of a powerful figure surrounded by a network of enablers, people operating behind the scenes to keep his empire intact. This bolstered the prosecution's case that LeBron's influence had fostered an environment where misconduct could occur. Without consequence, they weren't trying to prove he committed each individual act, they only needed to show that he allowed them or failed to intervene when. He should have. LeBron remained largely emotionless during the testimony, speaking occasionally with his attorney, but mostly appearing drained, like the gravity of the accusations was finally catching up to him. Next came another deeply troubling. Witness Felicia Graham, a social worker who had once been involved in a youth outreach initiative funded by one of LeBron's charitable organizations. She testified that in 2021 she filed a report after hearing two teenagers express concerns about being coerced into inappropriate situations with corporate sponsors at a charity function. According to Felicia, she submitted a written complaint to the board of the charity and was subsequently dismissed from her role. Her tone remained steady, but resolute as she recounted what happened. I tried to speak up. She said, I thought maybe they didn't know what was going on, but after I sent that report, I was silenced. The board told me to step down for the sake of the organization's reputation, and that organization had LeBron's name on it. Her testimony stirred real emotion within the courtroom. Some jurors exchanged concerned looks. Prosecutors leaned in, sensing the momentum building in their favor. They had been methodically laying their foundation, each witness testimony stacking atop the last, constructing a damning narrative. Meanwhile, the defense faced a rising tide of public and legal pressure. Though they maintained that no direct link tied LeBron to any, the mounting testimonies painted a compelling picture of systemic failure and LeBron's silent complicity in it all. The media had a frenzy. News outlets lit up the internet with non-stop coverage. LeBron acknowledged that many of them were indeed in attendance. When asked if anyone had ever tried to speak up about the events, he responded with a shake of the head. No one wanted to lose their spot. Everyone was scared of being blackballed. Once you were inside that world, you had to stay quiet, or you were out. And for some people, being out meant losing everything. One of the most striking parts of the day came when LeBron was asked whether he had ever attempted to walk away from that environment. His response was firm yet subdued. Yes, I stopped going to those events. I started turning down invitations. I told my team I didn't want to be connected to Diddy anymore. But even then, it wasn't easy. He had connections everywhere. I started to hear that people were calling me difficult to work with. I lost deals. People would pull back without explanation. That's when I realized how deep this all went. After a brief break, the trial resumed. The focus shifted to a New Year's Eve party that had already been referenced by multiple witnesses. LeBron was asked to recall the events of that night at a luxurious Caribbean estate. Did anything stand out? He nodded. I remember everything. There was a young woman, maybe 18 or 19. She was brought in. By one of Diddy's assistants, she was introduced to people as a singer, trying to make it big, but halfway through the night she disappeared. People started asking where she was. I overheard one of Diddy's close people say she was being taken care of. That stuck with me the way they said it, like it was routine. As the trial entered its 5th week, the pressure surrounding the case escalated to a fever pitch. Outside the courthouse, the scene resembled a chaotic media carnival. Reporters from major U.S. and international outlets jostled for position. On the courthouse steps, trading whispers of witness lists, hurling questions at anyone who entered or exited. Fans crowded the sidewalks, some waving signs of unwavering support for LeBron James, others donning shirts demanding justice for the alleged victims. The atmosphere had grown electric and divisive, reflecting a public torn in two. Inside the courtroom, the mood had shifted drastically. The early air of disbelief had given way to a somber reality. What had once seemed like baseless speculation had hardened into serious allegations backed by a growing list of witnesses, and increasingly influential ones. One of the most pivotal testimonies came from Daniel Kershaw, a former NBA executive who had worked closely with LeBron during his stints in Miami and Cleveland. Though visibly hesitant, Daniel delivered testimony that added serious weight to the prosecution's case. It was all about protection, he said, gripping the edge of the witness stand.